Our final presentation in this MCubed different segment comes from a cube called Nanobiotics. Warning, if you find yourself feeling a bit squeamish from some of the images in this talk, you will hopefully feel even more grateful for the new class of antibiotics they describe. Team members include faculty from engineering and medicine and a research scientist and fellow from engineering. Get ready for Professors Angela Violi and Scott Van Etz.
Advances in electronics and materials has led to an astonishing array of medical devices that we are implanting directly into the body. The science fiction of Luke Skywalker's bionic hand is rapidly becoming a reality. Like this. This is a totally implanted heart, mechanical heart, which is a reality now. Virtually everybody in this room has either benefited from or knows somebody who has benefited from an implanted medical device. The problem is they get infected. Anything we put in the body provides a niche for bacterial infection. About 1.2 million healthcare-associated infections are associated with the device that we put in, and it's rapidly becoming the most common cause of bloodstream infections. All right, for the squeamish involved, you have been warned. It has been Halloween, so the gross images are coming. So these infections are caused by biofilms, which is essentially a community of bacteria encapsulated in essentially slime, like this slime here. This was bacteria growing in biodiesel fuel that fouled the fuel filter of a Coast Guard cutter and caused it to stall. On the medical side, this is a heart, and that red stuff marked by the arrows is a biofilm growing on the heart valves in this one. This is the wire from someone's pacemaker. Here, the bacteria has hijacked the patient's own clotting system to build a biofilm around it. And here we have microscopic images of a dialysis catheter and the bacteria creeping along it, building that biofilm. So you say, we've got antibiotics, right? Unfortunately, the dose required to knock out a biofilm with this protective fortress of slime is sometimes as much as 1,000 times the dose that you would normally take. That's enough to kill the bacteria and probably do a fair amount of damage to the patient as well. So the antibiotics don't work, so we have to take the device out. And if that device is a simple IV in your hand, that's probably not a big deal. But if it's your prosthetic joint, or your heart valve, or your pacemaker, that is a huge deal. So here's the problem. There's not a simple pharmaceutical solution here. We haven't created a new class of antibiotics in 30 years. And the antibiotics listed here are just tiny tweaks on the ones that we're already using. And so antibiotic resistance is just a tiny tweak for the bacterium itself. They're essentially winning this. So our solution is to come at this from a multidisciplinary approach. This is an interface problem. It is a problem of the bacteria interfacing with the device. It is a problem with the new antibiotics interfacing with the bacteria and the slime they create around that, this fortress of slime. So our team works at these interfaces and spans the length scales that we're talking about. I myself am an emergency physician and bioengineer, and my job is to translate these technologies from a cellular level to the patients that they're going to benefit. Professor Kotov, who could not be with here on stage at the moment, is an expert in synthesizing nanoparticles. And these are the materials that we will be discussing moving forward. And he thinks about building these materials up from a molecular level to a nanoparticle. And then Professor Violi, who will be speaking next, is an expert in computational mechanics and design and thinks about the atomic description of how do you design a nanoparticle from atomic levels to the nanoparticle and how it interacts specifically with the bacteria and the slime around it.
Okay, so we're working on a new class of antibiotics to fight bacteria, and specifically the antibiotic resistance bacteria and the infection they spread. We call this class nanobiotics. So to understand how this nanobiotic works, we need to get to the nanoscale. So let me step back for a second to the biofilm that Scott just showed you. So here is a cartoon of what a biofilm looks like. So you have in green and purple the bacteria. They usually accumulate on a surface. And then you have this yellow slime that basically is produced by the bacteria themselves and used as a barrier for antibiotics. So bacteria really love to live in community. They can turn on group behaviors, such, for example, communication. And so when they are ready to launch a virulence attack, basically, all the cells can work in unison. So the biofilm is really a fortress for us. And our goal was to find ways to kind of break down the walls of this fortress. So what I want to mention here is that there's a yellow area that you can see is basically what I call a nanoscale network. Holds the cell together, and is really our goal for the dispersion of those biofilms at this point. So I want to give you an analogy. Think about the process that we want to talk briefly, but also the scale involved. So your house is like a biofilm, and then a chair inside the house is a bacterium. Now, think about termites coming into your house and start chewing the wood of the house until basically they destroy the foundation. So with that image in mind, I'm going to show you our result. So the left image, the green, is a MRSA biofilm. And what you see instead in the middle is the MRSA biofilm now adding some nanoparticles. And on the right, adding more nanoparticles. So you start seeing the formation of those holes, like the bacteria chewing up the biofilm, same way that the termites can destroy the wood. So this is already a great result for us. But the question is, can we do better? Can, in principle, have an image that is all black? So the hole and the biofilm is gone. So in order to do that, we need to look back at the molecular event that happens in our system. So we brought the tools of computational chemistry, biophysics to answer those questions. And so what I'm going to show you here are snapshots of our simulations in which nanoparticles are approaching the biofilm and slowly disrupting the matrix and forming those holes. By understanding what are the events, especially the sequence of molecular events, and how they link to the first step when the nanoparticle gets close to the biofilm, then our goal is to identify the most efficient nanoparticles. So our project is about designing nanoparticles to fight bacteria. We tune the characteristics of them, use, for example, the size, the shape, or the functionality, so that we can control the bacteria. So let me sum up. First, with thanking the MCubed for giving us the possibility to work together on this project, especially Wendy and Amanda. They have been amazing coach for us and a great experience. As achievement, we've been lucky to work with our trainees. Here are the images. They are amazing. They are the engine of the scientific discovery. And they are really the next generation because they are able to handle interdisciplinary problems in which also the approach comes from different backgrounds. An example of our work on nanobiotics has already been published in an American Chemical Society journal. So, in conclusion, we are very excited about what's coming ahead. We hope to establish new partnerships that go beyond academia and include, besides the government, also private sectors. We really believe we are in an exciting moment here, and we can turn those things into something that can actually knock out disease. Thank you for your attention.